Father, I thank you for this opportunity to speak. None of Chris, God, but all of you. Father, I know for a fact you wanted people to hear this morning. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk in faith, meaning I don't have to feel it or see it to know that it's working. I just believe it is. So Father, change lives. Break bold and things holding people back, but bring joy and bring peace and bring love into their hearts. In Jesus' name we pray. And let the church say it together. Come on, let me see the church say it together. Amen. So now listen. Last week I told you all, I said, if we're done with this series, we're going on to another series. It was maybe Tuesday morning, and I woke up, and in my sleep, God was like, no, you're going to do one more sermon in this series. And I was like, but Jesus, we got a system where we're moving on. And then I repented and started writing out the sermon. So let me tell you something. If you are hearing this in this room, God wanted you to hear this. I mean, he literally must have wanted you to hear this. For those watching online, he must have wanted you to hear this. For somebody watching this on YouTube 3 or 4 years later, at this very moment, wherever you are, God wanted you to hear this. The winner is me. Now, I need you to practice the pause in there, right? It's the winner is me. See, there's a buildup to who is going to be the winner. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner is you. Now, I wanted to talk to you about award shows for a moment. Anybody ever watch the Emmys? Daytime Emmy shows, right? You give the award out for the best this and the best show and the best actress in there's so many things. And a comedy that had black people, that had white people, and 2 dogs. I mean, they got so many categories these days. But there's the Emmys. Then there's the Grammy Awards, right? So people are nominated in different categories, and they talk about the category, and all of the people who are nominated are sitting in the audience. When you go to the Oscars, they do the same thing. They say, here's the award for Best Actor. And then the whole audience is sitting there with the nominees sitting there. And there's a person on stage trying to look as good as I do who is doing come on, give God some glory in this house. Don't get all shy now. But here's what I want you to realize. And this is what God woke me up thinking about. While everybody is sitting in the audience and they're playing the music and the presenter comes out, good evening. I'm here to present the award for Best Actor in a Series or Movie and da-da-da. Here are the nominees. And then they play, what? Different parts of the movies or the things they were in. But after they do that, then they get to the point and they show the pictures of the people sitting in the audience and the camera's on them, and they're all trying to act like they don't care if they lose or win. They're just happy to be there, and everybody really wants to win. But while they're sitting there and there's this nervous energy in the room, they're sitting on the edge of their seat. Everybody in the audience is like, oh my gosh, who's going to win? Sometimes they do the drum roll behind them. But then the person opens the envelope and says, and the winner is, and they get ready to say the name. What God brought to my attention was this. He said, Chris, while everybody is wondering and in anticipation and kind of nervous and who's going to win, there's a group of people in a back room who already have a list of all the winners. Now, there's somebody sitting in a room going along with the program. When they go to each person in each category, they already know. See, what God was explaining to me is the person in the room is not nervous. The person in the room already knows. Now, everybody out here is worked up. Sometimes they even say from the stage, oh, it's tension in the room. The winner is. But God was saying to me, he said, no. But the person back here who knows of the winners, they're just chilling out. They're not worked up. They're not worried. They're not back here huffing and puffing. What should we do? They're like, next category. And I said, well, God, what are you trying to say? And he said, here's what I need you to understand, is that since there's an official list that's already been created, the people out here may be worrying, but the people running the show are chilling out. See, there's literally, I looked it up, it says there is an official list. Before the award show begins, an official list of all the winners is prepared. The list includes the names of the recipients for each award and category. And then while the show is going on, they have a verification process. As winners are announced on stage, the production team cross-references the name. So while they're saying the winner is this, somebody's back here going down the list that's been pre-made. Yes, they're the winner. The winners have been determined weeks before the program. The winners have been set up weeks before the program. You just don't know who they are. But they got their name engraved on statues. How would they do that? They've done it in time before people even got dressed, before they knew they were coming, before they knew what they were going to wear that night. The award has already been made for them. So as I started to think through that, I said, well, wait a minute. If they're not worried, why am I worried? Because, see, what you have to understand, there's a list already made in heaven. And I'm not talking about when you get to heaven. I'm talking about every situation you are dealing with. You have to understand that God has already created a list. He already knows you're the winner. So when you are praying when panic and God is not responding in panic, he's like, why are they so worried? I already wrote down. And you down here going, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, it could be me. It could be me. And God is up here, what are you concerned about? I already have this. We literally just lived this on Friday afternoon. Corey is graduating from Breck School. They had a, come on, Breck School. It was an award ceremony. It was a closing ceremony, and they were giving awards out. We're sitting there, and as they're coming in, and they're saying, okay, here's the award for math to such and such, such and such. And nobody in the audience knows. So everybody's kind of looking around, and then they say, and the winners are. And they say people's names, and the students were coming up. We were living in the anticipation. I wonder if Corey's going to win. Jai was sitting next to me. At a certain point, I kept going. I was reading some of the things. I was like, I wonder if she'll win this one. Then I switched over, and I started to bring my phone out for every award. I said, let me get the video ready because she's going to win something. Oh, see, let me go to another church. I'll see y'all next Sunday. See, I switched from sitting there wondering and being concerned, are they going to forget about my daughter? Are they going to recognize what she's done? And I switched over. I said, let me get my phone ready because she's going to win. See, what you have to understand when I reminded myself, the winner is me. The winner is Corey. I don't care how many students in this room. I don't care how many teachers. I don't care how they vote. Some kind of way God went in heaven and put her name on a list. So then when her name was called once, I was like, you better say something, Jesus. Then when they called her name the second time for another award, I was like, come on. And then when they called her a third time, I was like, come on. But this is truly what happened. And if I had time, I'd have Pastor Jori come on stage with me so you can testify to what happened. The ceremony's over. People are coming by and congratulating Corey and congratulating us. And we're like, oh, thank you so much. And then this woman who works for the school said, would you like one of these? And we said, well, what's this? She said, it's the list of all the winners. And we said, well, when did y'all type this up? And she said, like a week or so ago. I said, so you already knew. That's how Corey's name was already on plaques that she didn't understand she was going to get. What I'm trying to get you to understand is there's a list already made with your name on it, and you're worked up, and you're concerned, and you're trying to figure stuff out, and God's like, I've already set this thing up. You're concerned about what's in the front room. Baby, you better recognize what's in the back room. God has got your name on lists. He has got people putting your name on trophies. There are contracts with your name written on them. There are scholarships with your name written on them. There are promotions on doors with plaques that they're putting your name on that you don't even know about. The winner is me. Switch your mindset instead of being, well, I don't know what's going to happen. No, I know what's going to happen. Let me get my speech together. Let me get ready to go on stage because I know they're calling me. Well, Pastor, what if I don't win? Well, get ready for the next category. Well, what if they don't call me for that one? Well, get ready for the next one. But somehow, before this thing is over, I win every time. He makes me the head. I looked up all this data about winners, and what they found about winners in these studies was this. They said winners come from diverse backgrounds. It's not a certain place you come from. It's not a zip code. It's not your hair. I got Indian in my family. That's why my hair lay like that. That don't matter. I can buy Indian hair today. Come on, give God glory. Winners come from diverse background and industries. Oh, I wish if I could go back now, I would have majored in something else. Hush your mouth. If I could do it over, stop talking about what you could do over. Let God be God right now. He still got your name on a list, knowing where you came from, knowing what you look like. In this study, when they were looking at all these people who consistently win, athletes, actors, producers, they said, what is it about them? They said they have a mindset. What's your mindset on? Maybe it'll work for me. I'm trying. I wish it would. No. I always win. It's always going to turn out for me. I don't care what it looks like. Some kind of way it's going to turn out for my good. They also said this. At the core of all these people that they study, the winner is someone who makes things happen. You've got to stand up. You got to put your name down on things. You got to tell people, yes, I'm interested in the position. Yes, I want the contract. How are you going to do it? Yes, I'm ready. Well, Pastor, what if I'm not ready? Walk by faith and not by sight. And say to yourself, well, God has put my name on things already that I don't know about, so I got to walk into rooms so that I can get what he's already had for me. This goes for healing. There are some doctors who are waiting to tell you you're healed. Go to the appointment. Get your blood checked. Go have the conversation with them. Don't let that thing scare you. Don't let that situation put fear in your heart. Well, I don't want to go and find out. I'm a little scared. No, find out. Give me the diagnosis so I can go to God and be like, what's on the list for this? Did you already put healing on there for this? I know it's somewhere in here. Where is it, God? Where is it? I know you got me. I know you got this thing worked out. See, it changes your mindset. You're no longer walking in fear, and I don't know if this is going to work. You are sitting there saying, call my name, call my name, call my name, call my name, call my name. Say my name, say my name. No one. See, why y'all know that song? All of y'all get out. Every one of you, get out. All right. What makes a winner a winner? Here's what they found in the study. They said they apply high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. You are dreaming about things, but you're not doing things. You had the whole thing in your mind, and then I would do this, I would do something. Stop acting like a scared person and say, no, I'm doing this. You know what? If you fail, so what? Get back up and try it again. If it doesn't work the first time, get back up. Learn from that and go, okay, God's still with me because I know my name's somewhere. It's not just about luck. Because what can happen is you can look at other people's lives and you're like, they were just so lucky. No, they may have worked and you just didn't see it. One of the things Pastor and Jori and I have to work on hard is people don't think we ever have challenging times. That's you right now. You're like, oh, I never thought about that. And not because we're trying to front or act like we always have it together. It is just how we're made to be like, well, we're dealing with stuff, but come on, let's go. And so we've learned that we have to yell loud. I mean, I've told people, it's a tough week for me. They don't hear it. I'm like, I said it's a tough week for me. For me, it's a tough week. And then people go right past, we need to pray for so-and-so. Pray for me. And so I've learned, because people are like, you're so lucky, you're so blessed, everything is always working out. Just because I'm looking like it's fine doesn't mean everything's fine, but I've made a decision. What I'm not going to do is grovel. What I'm not going to do is laying on the ground, rolling around. I'm not going to come in here looking all, what's wrong with Pastor? He lets clothes all half on. What's wrong with him? No, that's just not how I work. You're a winner. And he says what they found with these people is that it's this consistent effort and determination that helps them win. But then I can get biblical with you and I can go to Deuteronomy where it says, and the Lord will make you the head and not the tail. He will go in situations. He will move things around. If I had times, I would bring you to Proverbs 18 and 16 where he says, a man or a woman's gift makes room for them. It is not the man, it is the gift that God has given you. You have to understand that God has given you a gift. It is going out and it is making room. You don't have to make room. God said, I will make you the head and not the tail. I will make you above only and not beneath. Above only means I don't stay down. I just keep rising. I'm like helium in a balloon. You can push me down, but baby, I'm going to come back up. That's just how I work. That's just who you are. It says that heed the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today. If you just do some of the stuff we're telling you, if you just try some of the stuff we're telling you, he says, if you do the commandments of the Lord, which I command you today, and are careful to observe them, he was like, I will make you the head. I will make you above only. Well, Pastor, how do I do that? Well, here's very simple. You got to believe he's a promise keeper and he's not a liar. I'm talking to some of you who've been in church your whole life. You've gotten comfortable with the lie that it's not going to work out. You've got comfortable with bringing God down to what you think is attainable instead of reaching up to where he is. I'm speaking to some of you who are new. Well, I'm just kind of trying to figure this thing out. Believe that he's a keeper of promises. Just say to yourself, he's going to keep his promise. Well, it doesn't look like I'm winning right now. It doesn't matter. Before this thing is over, you can call my name 6 times or the last 6 awards. I don't care. I will win. It also says this in the Word. He says this is when they were preaching to the people of the Israelites and they were in the wilderness and they were complaining about God. And he said, for indeed the gospel was preached to us as well as to them, but the word which they heard did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in those who heard it. You can hear everything we're saying. You can be watching us in Europe and Africa and all the shout out to all of you. We're so glad you're watching. But this is entertainment if you don't switch and put your faith in it. If you're sitting out there like, that was a great motivational talk. I feel great. But the difference is when you put faith with it, then you have an expectation. No, I don't feel great. I know this thing is about to work. My name is on a list somewhere. Somebody's putting me on a chart. I don't even know yet that a phone call's coming 2 weeks from now. Think back of a job you got. And then you didn't even know when you went to interview for the job that they had already been thinking about you. That's why when they hire you, they say, you were just exactly what we were looking for. How is that possible? Because God had already put in their mind you. How do I mix my faith with, Pastor, here's how you do it. Pray the word and its promises. You can Google what are promises in the Bible. Open them up and just pray. My mom used to tell us when we were kids all the time. We don't do it as much now, because you just have to be thoughtful. But when we were growing up, we did a lot of prophecy during church, right? Somebody would be inspired and the word of God would come over them and they would prophesy. And not that we don't do it, but we're thoughtful about how we do it because people started doing stuff that was crazy with it. But my mom would tell people sometimes people would be looking for a prophecy. They would be standing like, pick me. And you guys know what I'm talking about? Somebody would say, well, Father, God is telling me to tell you this. And you'd be like, wow, that's hitting right home. And then people, pick me. And then my mom would say, go home and get your own prophecy. There's 66 books in the Bible. Pick one. Go pick a prophecy. Go in the Bible and read something, make it a promise. Number 2, how do I mix my faith? Depend on the word only. Trust God only. You give everything else a try. Why not just give God a full try? The other thing is act on the word in faith. You just got to act on this. Do you know how many interviews, do you know how many doctor's appointments, do you know how many times we've tried to put an offer on a building or a house in faith, meaning it didn't look like we could do it on paper. Y'all so say, everybody here got all the money they needed. Everybody. Oh, Father, Pastor, I have all the money I need. You go out in faith and be like, hey, I told you I put a $50 check down as a deposit on a house. And then I told him I wanted. I walked through the house and the lady said, well, you interested? I was like, I'm interested. And she was like, well, we just need to, put something down. I was like, when you say down, like you need the money, like now down? She said, Chris, just pick a lot. She said, we're just so excited for you to be part of our community. I was single. I didn't have the money. I had a roommate. And I said, okay, I'm going to put down this check. And I filled it out to the people. And it was $50. For an entire house, they were going to build from the ground up. And then I had the nerve, which was the God inside of me, to say, now hold that for 2 weeks. You know you have given somebody a check. Now, girl, congratulations. Then don't cash that till next Thursday. So, right, I'm not judging you. But I had the ability and the nerve to go look at a house that didn't seem like I had the money for. But when I put $50 down, they went into work. I got some in the mail. We picked your lot. We started your house. I was like, well, God, you're going to have to show up. But I knew my name was written on a list somewhere. I knew he was going to find money. I knew a bonus was going to come. I knew some kind of way. So you got to put the word in motion. So as we've been thinking about this, and I said, well, the winner is me. I want to give you an example of somebody in the Bible because I told you it's already written that you're the winner. But now what do you do in times when it seems tough on the front end? When it doesn't look like, has anybody ever felt like you're not winning? You've ever felt like you're not winning? I'm waiting for some of y'all who cried at the door last week, Pastor, pray for me. I was like, okay. You can feel like this isn't fair. This isn't fair. Why is this happening to me, my family, my children? Why is this diagnosis? Why is my business going through this? Why? And I'm not saying you don't have a right to feel that way. I want to help you understand something. So here's what happened. David was fighting. He had a military army. He was going out and fighting on behalf of God and taking down kingdoms that were not right and doing wrong. Have you ever felt like you've been doing right for somebody else, but when you came to your house, it was messed up? Have you ever fixed somebody else some food and come home talking about, now what we going to eat. Okay, 3 days later, it says, when David and his men arrived home, because they were out fighting on behalf of God, when they arrived home at their town of Ziklag, they found that the Amalekites, who were enemies of theirs, had made a raid into Negev and Ziklag, so 2 cities next to each other. They had crushed Ziklag and burned it to the ground. Can you imagine going on a work trip and coming back home and your house is gone? So David and his men are coming back home, and you know, as you get to certain areas, you're like, something is not looking right. And as they get closer to their house, they realize everything had been burned to the ground. And then they had carried off the women and children and everyone else, but without killing anyone. So the enemy came, burned down their houses, took their wives, took their children while they were out fighting. But it says, but everyone, they took everyone, but they did not kill anyone. I want to give you your first tip. You may be going through something that's going to hurt, but it won't kill you. For every boss that is talking crazy about you and your skills, it may hurt your feelings, but it's not going to kill you. To every decision that's been made about how you can move up, or you have to stay back a grade, or you're not good enough to get on this team, it may hurt your feelings, baby, but it's not going to kill you. So now they've taken all of his children, all the wives, all the men they're like, what's going on? As we continue to read, it says, so David and his men came to the city, and there it was, burned with fire. And their wives and their sons and their daughters had been taken captive. Then David and the people who were with him lifted up their voices and wept. They cried all night long until they had no more power to weep. Have you ever cried where you have nothing left? You're feeling the sorrow, but there is no more tears. There's just nothing left because you're just done. You're like, why is this happening? The men were crying like we were doing good for God, and here our kids are gone, and our wives are gone, and our stuff is burned, and we're poor now. We have nothing left. Cry, but just don't stay there. I know you go through some stuff. We all have some moments. And I'm not going to be one of these preachers, well, you didn't feel nothing? Yo, you felt that. That was hard. That was tough. You walk into a meeting like, oh, so I'm not coming back next week. Okay. You want my security card today. Okay. So you saying I'm not going to get no more paychecks. I mean, that's what we mean. So don't come back on Monday. That's what you're saying. Cry, just don't stay there. So the men are crying now because of all the situation that's going on. And then suddenly, now David is in the same situation. His house is burned, his wife's gone, his kids are gone. David's like, oh my God, no, man, I know this. Then they said, David was in extra trouble because there was talk among the men bitter over the loss of their families of stoning him. Can you imagine you crying with him? I know it. Wait, what'd y'all say? Hold on, y'all gonna kill me. My house going just like your house. Leadership is something else. Leadership is something else. There's some Sundays I was like, Pastor Jori, like, you going. Because you have to stand sometimes in situations and take heat that you're like, I don't even deserve this heat. Okay, well, anybody in leadership, okay, can you not act like you don't know what I'm talking about? Because some of y'all want to fire somebody right now and God's saying no, and you're like, I want to. So now David's crying, the men are crying, and his own men are turning against him like, we ought to kill you. And David, if we had not been out there with you, we could have been home with our home. You crying, you can't talk. We could have been home, David. But in the midst of David having lost in front of him, his own children, his own wife, his men around him, I told you last week, he was sitting down and he said, but the Lord will sustain me. So it says David strengthened himself. One translation says David encouraged himself. Can I give you a little secret about being in this winner's circle? Sometimes you got to talk yourself up. I just saw this thing on social media the other day, and it was all these athletes, and then the title said, talking to themselves. And I was like, I wonder what that is. And then the people, they weren't talking loud, but they had a woman who was deaf in the corner who could read lips. So she was reading lips and telling you on the screen what they were saying. So there was this young woman, she was standing, getting ready to run a race. And she was standing there, and she was, and then the woman was saying, I'm going to tell you what she's saying. She's like, you can run fast. You're faster than everyone here. Don't you worry. Do it. Run fast. Run. And this is what she was saying to herself before the race started. When that gun went off, I mean, she took off, but she was lagging at first, but then she caught up and she was talking while she was running. See, what I'm telling you is sometimes you got to talk yourself up. Nobody's calling you. I'm going to give you a head up. Nobody going to call. You waiting. Do I got signal? Because nobody calling. You have hinted 3 times. It's a tough week for me. Call me next week, girl. It's really hard. Have you ever tried people aren't picking up the tips? You try to say some stuff's going on in your family with your children, and you're like, okay, well, anyway. David strengthened himself. But let me tell you something. If you don't have no word in you, you have nothing to pull on. You have nothing. There's no worship to come out of your mouth. There's no joy to come out when you're going through a tough season. But David had some stuff in him. So he said he strengthened himself with trust in his God. Not my God. You got to have a relationship with your God. You got to be able to talk yourself out of situations and say, no, but God's going to show up. He's going to show up. I don't know how he's going to do it, though. So you're going to have to talk yourself out like David did. And so David then inquired of the Lord. So he's sitting there encouraging himself. And this is what he said. He starts to pray to God, and he goes, well, God, shall I pursue this troop? Shall I overtake these men that just came and stole our wives and children? Have you ever felt like, God, what do you want me to do? And God answered David, and he said, pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. What David didn't know is God was reading from the list in heaven saying, we already wrote this out. And then, okay, the Ziklag, they took the kids, okay, and then he wins. No, you already know you're the winner. Come on, people of God. See, I need you to understand, if you were up for an award and you're sitting out in the crowd and like, I don't know, we'll see what happens. And somebody come over and go, you won. Huh? You won. What? Do you know how different you would act? Y'all can say all the names y'all want. Say all the names. Say all the names. No, build it up. Because you want me to come up now or you want me to come up later? So there's a confidence. One time I was running for something at school, and at the end of the pageant, best way I could explain it, they had us all lined up. And I was running for Man of the Year at Hampton, and I was a sophomore, and I was the youngest person in the group. Everybody was like juniors and seniors, mostly seniors. So I was standing there, and I knew this was it, and they had come out the room where they were tallying. And this guy that I knew kind of well, he looked over at me while I was standing in line. I was standing like this. There's about 10 or 12 of us standing here. And I looked over, he went like this. And I was like, and he did it, he was like, and I was like, because, and the judges was out here, so I was like, I don't know if this is a test. And then this guy over here next to me, I heard him go, somebody else was believing about what was happening more than I was. He was responding like, oh, Chris won. He told me after, he said, as soon as I saw him wink at you, I knew I lost. See, but after I started to recognize when they were like, and the third runner-up is, and they were saying some other names, and I was like, well, hey, wait, they ain't nothing but their square root of 7. There's 3 of us left. I was like, I might. And then I looked over again, he said, when they said, and the winner is, I had already had y'all don't understand. I had my first, when they said, I was like, you better, hey. You got to understand that your name is written in heaven. Your name is written on lists. I don't care what a man does. He says, I will make you the head and not the tail. I will make you above only and not beneath. That's what God will do for you. So David says, what should I do, God? Should I go fight them? Should I go do this? And he said, yeah, pursue them, David. And let me tell you something, you will surely win this battle. You will overtake them, and everything they took from you, you will recover all. I wonder if God is letting me tell somebody who was wondering, what should I do? Get up. Pursue this job. Get up. Pursue this business. Get up. Pursue this healing. What about it, though, God? Pursue it, because God is saying, I will surely overtake them. You're going to recover everything they stole, everything that was lost, everything that's drifted away, everything you thought it was too late for. I've come to give some good news. I believe your name is already on the list. He said, surely, go. Say, how different would you fight if you know you was going to win? How many things would you go after if you knew you was going to win it? Well, if I sing the album and they don't like it, make the album. Drop the album. I mean, right now, you can put something on YouTube and you don't have to know. Just don't look at the likes. Just play it. So David said, okay, here's what I want you to tell you. And the next tip is this: encourage yourself and go to the Lord. David was like, okay, God, what should I do? What should I do? He said, pursue them and overtake them and you will recover all. David went. Now watch this. You get your little courage up. All right, let's do this. So David's like, let's go. I feel like David went out and talked. Yeah, y'all was trying to kill me yesterday. Let's go. Let's go fight. So it says 600 men with David. So they all started marching. You know, I don't know what the pep talk was, but I'm sure he gave, you gonna go get your children. We're gonna go get our families. This is the day the Lord is calling. And the men were like, yeah, let's go, Dave, let's do this. And then reality kicks in. Because it says 600 of them started walking. I don't know why they do that. I feel like they're doing that. No, sorry. So they start marching with 600 of them. And it says when they arrived at the brook of Bizarre, where some of them dropped out. Have you ever heard somebody say, I'm with you all the way, until all the way is too long for them? Has anybody ever told you, I'll never leave you, and then you the first one, like, you gone? So it says that they were marching, it says 600 of them left, but they started dropping out. Now, if you have 600, and then it says, and David and 400 men kept up the pursuit, how many dropped out? Come on now. Some of y'all still figuring it out. It's okay. It's all right. There it is. 200, a third of the people who said they were with you start saying, I don't know if I'm going. Now, you was crying and trying to kill me yesterday, but now you don't have energy to kill the enemy? David was like, I already got a word. I already was told I'm on the list. Pursue them and overtake them and recover all. David was like, all right, come on, 400, let's go. So David and the 400 men kept up the pursuit. But 200 of them were too fatigued to cross the brook of Bizarre and stayed there. So if I dropped off 2 out of 6, we have 400. Now I drop another 200. How many are left? What if you have to go and do it by yourself with a small group? If people drop out, this is for somebody. You're good if there's a crowd with you. When everybody's in with you, you're in. But when they drop out, you drop out. When they slow down, you slow down. I'm coming to encourage you. Bust through that today. And say to yourself, but if God has already said he's going to prosper me, and God already said he's going to make things happen for me, my choice is to move forward or stay with them. Let me tell you about people who stay behind. They're always behind. People who always drop, they're always dropping. But people who are winners are pursuing, you keep seeing them winning. You're like, oh, they're doing something else. Oh, you open another one. Oh, you moved on. Oh, you got a different house. Oh, you're doing that. Winners keep moving. You're going to have to make a decision today. If anybody drops out, I'm going. David was like, that's it, I'm going forward. So it says people dropped out. So some who went on came across an Egyptian. So now he's got 200 people. It's him and David. He has nothing other than the fact that God told him pursue and overtake and recover all. So while they're journeying, they run into an Egyptian in the field and took him to David. So some of the other men who saw him, they found this slave and they said, David, look at this guy we found. So they gave him some bread and he ate and he drank some water. You might find help from an unlikely source. I'm coming to help you because you're trying to hang around the rich uncle who has the money, who has the ability, but God may bring somebody you don't even know about to help you, but you've got to keep moving. But what if somebody's standing? Y'all remember freeze tag when we were kids? If you got stuck and you'd be like this, you'd be like, come tag me so I can get free, come tag me. I believe sometimes God has got stuff on freeze tag, but you got to get close enough to touch it for it to be released. So while David is going, they run into a man who's sitting in the desert and they give him some food. So they said, come here, guy, come here. So they gave him a piece of fig cake, a couple of raisin muffins, and life began to revive in him. You never been hungry? You be like, I feel good, I'm not. So it says life began to revive in him, and he hadn't eaten or drunk a thing for 3 days and nights. So David said to him, well, who do you belong to? Who are your people? Where you come from? And he says, where are you from? And the guy answered, he says, I'm an Egyptian slave of the Amalekites. Remember, the Amalekites are the people who just went into his city and stole all his stuff and took all of his kids. God knows how to set stuff up. So he goes, I'm an Amalekite a slave. And my master walked off and left me when I got sick. That was 3 days ago. Not only did God bring him to somebody, he brought him to somebody who was mad at the people. See, when you get somebody who don't like the people anymore, I'll tell you everything I know about them. And it says they ran into me. He goes, yeah. He said, they left me 3 days ago to die. He said, now watch, the man is talking. He said, we had raided the Negev of the Corinthians and Judah and of Caleb and Ziklag we burned. So he's naming these other cities, and he's like, and Ziklag we burned. That's where I live. David was like, y'all burn Ziklag? So David said, hey, can you take us to the raiders? And then the guy said, I got one thing. Promise me, by God, that you won't kill me or turn me over to my old master, and I will take you straight to the raiders. I'm telling you, when God says pursue and overtake and recover all, he will bring sometimes people you weren't expecting to be your help. I'm coming to tell you, you just may need to keep marching. I'm coming to tell you today, you just got to keep moving. I'm coming to tell you, you might be 10 steps from the person who's getting ready to bring you right into the boardroom, right into the doctor's office, right to the right clinical. He led David to them, and they were scattered all over the place. So David said, take it. So the man took them there. He's like, they're right there. They're right past the cliff. Go past it. They're right there. All of them right there. And David saw them, and it says they were scattered all over the place, eating and drinking and gorging themselves on all of the loot they had plundered from the Philistia and Judah. He was basically walking up to like, them jokers. That's my robe right there. Ain't nothing like showing up on somebody who's, have you ever seen somebody sitting in your stuff that they stole? True story. I was running track in high school. While I was at practice, I came back to my locker. Somebody stole all of my clothes. I had my track shorts on and my spikes. Have you ever walked in spikes? This is before cell phones. So I started walking home in my spikes. 2 or 3 days later, I was in Kentucky Fried Chicken right here on Broadway. I went to get me a 2-piece and a biscuit with some honey. While I'm in line, I look over and I was like, this joker right here. When I say, and then he had the nerve to put the whole outfit on, like he didn't mix it. Same shirt under the sweater. It is nothing like, and when I realized what he had done, I looked over at my friend, I was like, I think, when I look back, he had run out the side door. I wanted to chase him down, but I was like, it don't mean anything to me. It wasn't worth it. And plus, I knew my dad would whip my tail if I got in a fight in the street. But anyway, ain't nothing like running on somebody in your stuff. And it says they had plundered from Philistia. And so when David saw them sitting in all of his stuff, David pounced. He fought them from before sunrise until evening of the next day, and none got away except for the 400 of the younger men who escaped by riding off in camels. That later on you'll understand which is intentional. God only let the people leave who he wanted to leave. But what I told you what would happen is he said, pursue, overtake, and recover all. After David got there, it said David rescued everything. You got to get up. You got to get up and go. You are a winner. You got to get up. You got to make the tough phone call. You got to go have the meeting. Yes, I did you wrong. I'm the one that did wrong to you. Make that phone call. But he says, and he rescued his 2 wives. This is Bible days. That's only why he had 2. Don't try and get 2 right now. It's a different time. What am I saying to you? The winner is me. Pursue, overtake, and recover all. Did you get anything out of the word this morning?